Hello, everyone, and welcome to Pod TV's #1 do-it-yourself advocate show, Timeshare Solutions or Surrender. I am Kimberly Calhoun, one of the founders of Pod TV and also the executive producer of Timeshares Solutions or Surrender. Timeshare Solution or Surrender is founded by Irene Parker. She is your host, and we are sharing real life stories of real life situations and problems with timeshares. But not every timeshare problem is a scam or anything like that. Sometimes people just need to know how to better utilize their timeshares. But Irene Parker has helped thousands of people, and she has a long list of resources that you can utilize to help guide yourself get out of these problems instead of going to the very expensive exit companies, which you also need to be aware of, because sometimes the exit companies are a bigger scam than what happened to you with the timeshares. But meanwhile, sit and listen to some of these stories, compare them to your situation, see if you can learn, because information is elimination of the problems. Hello, Irene. How are you doing today?
We're great. This is episode 90, Kim. I can't believe it. And it's the Tarta team that has helped people. No one could tackle this Goliath alone.
Exactly.
And we want to really thank the producers of Pod TV, Timeshare, and Resort Developer Accountability is a 501c4 nonprofit. And we have with us today Andre, who has been with us before. One of the biggest complaints we have is that the lifelong contract, with most of the properties and the points having little to no resale value. So Andre has launched a program that, along with some people in the industry, Joe Takis, who's been in the industry for over 40 years, his daughter Sydney, and Taylor's helping out to that would eliminate the perpetual contract. And my husband and I have signed up for it, and it's worked out fabulous. It's fabulous. So I've invited Mark, who hails from Illinois, but he is joining us today early in the morning from Hawaii. And when Mark first reached out to me in 2019, so 5 years ago, and he called just a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago, and said, my timeshare company that was going to charge me $3,000 to exit has changed their policy, and now they are asking for $30,200 to take our timeshare points back. So I thought he sounded like a good candidate for My Resort Co-op, which Andre is going to give us an update about. But the other thing is that we are devoting a portion of each show to the Timeshare Transparency Act that has been introduced by Utah Senator John Curtis and California Senator Adam Schiff, a bipartisan bill. And we have talked to 78 people, including 79 people, including Mark, that has reached out to their senator to support this bill. There's 27 senators on the committee, Commerce, Science, and Transportation. And so we have 2 of the 5 provisions. One of them is mandate disclosure of modifiable fees and the notice requirements for such changes. Also to provide clear documented options to enter ownership. So Mark, can you just take a minute and share with us what prompted you to want to be downsized or be released from your timeshare, and what the current status is?
Sure, Irene. As you mentioned, I've been blessed with the ability to now own a condo in Kauai, which happens to be about 15 to 20 minutes is all from the resort where I used to visit. almost every year since 2001. And I did that through Embassy Suites, which became Sunterra, which then became Diamond, which now finally a year or two ago became Hilton. And really had no problems with as long as I thought I was getting good value for the points, as long as I used the points to reserve resort time. And in 2019, as Irene mentioned, I went to a timeshare meeting, marketing meeting, if you will, in Polo Towers in LA. And the person that I talked to,
which we will not mention the name. No, don't mention the name.
Yeah, don't mention the name. The person I talked to was very
unless you have a
convincing.
recording. Unless you have a recording.
No, they were very convincing about my need, or would be a great benefit to me if I would buy more points. And so at that point, I think at that time, so anyway, I bought I don't know, some 30,000 additional points or something from him.
What was the need? What was the need to buy the additional points? What was the reason?
Well, what he said was that if, based on how much money I typically spent on vacations a year, and that if I would buy these extra points, I'd have enough points that would basically, I could then use the points to basically pay my maintenance fees, and at 30 cents a point. And so then I would be free and clear to use other points just to stay at places, but then I wouldn't have to worry so much about maintenance fees.
Well, and I want to know what they did. What they did was they adulterated a legitimate program that was a travel discount program, because we had about 100 complaints from about 20 different sales agents. Your particular sales agent, we have 6 complaints that are almost identical. And it leaves people with not enough points, with too many points that they can afford, and forces default.
Right? And part of his pitch was about using the points for all kinds of other travel related expenditures, and then that would offset the money that I would normally spend for those. Then I could use for maintenance fees. So it was kind of a round robin type approach. The thing that really aggravated me most about this whole situation was that, he would talk about things and present stuff and everything, and then I would parrot back to him what I understood that to mean, and I would say, is this what this means? Is that correct? Blah, blah, blah. And even though I had a misconception, and what I was saying was not what reality was, he would just nod his head and say, yeah, that's fine. That's it, And so even though I was trying to clarify and understand, he wasn't buying any of that. He wasn't helpful at all in that regard. And in fact, misled me again. So,
and the rescission period wouldn't have helped you, and reading the contract wouldn't have helped you, because the contract didn't go into details about how to reimburse for maintenance fees, I don't think. But what I'd like to do is, Andre, let's bring you on. Our show was it was an hour long, which is hard to juggle 3 to 5 guests every week. So now it's 25 minutes and then 35 minutes pre-recorded. Thank you, Andre, for being part of our brand new 2026 resource library, where you explain how your program makes so much more sense and I was just so shocked when I used it for a full year now, and we've been so happy with it. So go ahead and explain what My Resort Co-op is. And Mark isn't ready for this yet. He still has points to use up for a year, but I think a year from now he might be looking at this as well, because a lot of people that resolve their dispute or they default, they still can travel. And they
Yeah.
like the resorts, but they don't like the contracts. So go ahead and explain My Resort Co-op, and maybe we'll have a few minutes to talk about timeshare tokenization as well, your favorite topic.
Yeah. So my resort co-op is basically, it is a points-based vacation club, but it's on a very limited 3-year only kind of term. And the idea is why I believe it's a good advantage is that timeshare owners, when they participate in exchange networks like RCI and Interval International, they effectively deposit their week and use whatever trading power they have to go and purchase other weeks. Now, My Resort Co-op, you'll get access to the same exchange network to the weeks that other timeshare owners deposited, except you don't have to own a timeshare. You just buy us however many points you want for the 3 years. You can always increase it if you want to. And basically, you get access to these deals. So
Oh, you muted.
That's strange. I'm not sure how that got muted.
Yeah. We have some gremlins in our system today, I think.
Yeah. My Resort Co-op competitors are like, no, mute. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, and we're doing this program with Joe Takis from the MVP service. He's an industry veteran, and he really likes to take care of timeshare owners. He's a broker, and he has a couple other initiatives. But yeah, the idea is simple. There's deals with exchange companies that are exclusive to timeshare owners. We're granting access to those deals by not being a timeshare owner. And there is a 3-year contract you get into. But it's very limited. All the prices up front. You see exactly what it'll cost. You see examples of what the trade-off. And Irene, as you are aware, or you're from your own experience, and this is not like we don't have any agreement or association of any kind. This is purely you came to us, said, hey, I want to try this. You tried it. You liked it. You talk about it. So from your experience, how do you like it?
Well, we basically signed up as a promotional stunt because I just thought it was so cool to have an alternative, and I really wasn't sure how it worked. But the first year, I selected the lowest tier, 48,000 points every year for 3 years. And I wasn't aware that I had to open an RCI account, but a platinum RCI account comes with the program. And Mark, you can relate to this, where you do these upgrades and they say, now, if you have any questions, you give me a call. I'll be there for you. And they never return your phone calls, almost never. And so you can imagine my surprise when 2 weeks later I get a call. Hi, I'm Jonathan Stoker with Vacation Ownership Advisors. I'm your personal consigliere for My Resort Co-op. I was like, what? And they helped me book my first trip. So the first year was $1,239. And then the second and third year is a renewal for $963. So they helped me get my account established with RCI, and we booked and the other advantage is, Mark, you can relate that when you sign up with a developer, you end up staying at the same places over and over again. So this was my first experience staying at Wyndham, Panama City Beach, oceanfront, deluxe, 2 full bathrooms and 2 bunk beds if you had a couple of grandkids with you. And the point equivalent cost was $600. So I always say, do your timeshare math. And I went to Expedia, and there was no availability until September instead of April, or I forget what the exact date was, but it was $1,200 when I went to book it online. And I was able to reach out to vacation ownership advisors and give them, 4 or 5 locations drivable in Florida. And they came back with about 10 or 15 choices. And that's the one I picked. We have another trip scheduled for May with Holiday Inn. The only problem I had is I had just received the most horrible complaint about that sales center right before I checked in. I got, it's a wonder I didn't, I tried not to get into a fight when I checked in, but it all turned out okay. So, and then I have 4,000 points, left over that I'm told I can roll over to the next year. And then I think I'll have my renewal fee then. The other thing is there is a $299 RCI exchange fee that is included with both of those. So you have to add that in. You talk about hidden costs. And so Andre's been really good when I brought that up to go ahead and put down at the bottom that an exchange fees, because if we buy timeshares, we all know about hidden fees. So Mark, what do you think about this so far? Does it sound reasonable?
Yeah, when you said $600 for the example you had, that was per night or what?
That was for the whole week, and
for the whole week. Wow, that's amazing. That's
Well,
really
I think it
amazing.
was probably less than what, if you had a deeded week there, it was probably less than what the maintenance fee would be. I mean, it was a very large unit right on the beach. It was beautiful. So
Yeah, I know the maintenance fee equivalent for most weeks, and they vary based on what kind of view you get and what time of the year. But at the resort I go to in Kauai, they were typically $250 to $300 a night would be what I paid in maintenance fees based on the points that cost me, because it's about 20 cents a point for maintenance fees. So you can do the math pretty easily. If you get something that's 10,000 points or something, then you can say, well, that would be $2,000 in maintenance fees equivalent. And so
did you exchange through Interval International?
No, this was
and
not
now
an exchange.
RCI?
This was just a direct with my timeshare company, with my vacation ownership company. So
So Diamond used to be with Interval International, then they came up with their own exchange program, and now
exactly.
Hilton uses RCI, so in their program.
Well, it used to be RCI before it was Interval, before it was Hilton, their own company. Originally, years and years ago, it was the exchange company that Embassy and Sunterra used and everything was RCI.
Right. And Andre, we have a few minutes left, 2 or 3 minutes left. Can you, 5 minutes, tell us a little bit about tokenization, which I know I heard something about fungal things, and that it's going to make the transfer between one party to the other party much easier, and explain tokenization to us. And I believe you have an update that there's one resort that you've implemented this with.
Yeah, well, super quick, just one last point I wanted to add. I don't want to interrupt with the My Resort Co-op. Basically, for any person that's familiar with RCI, it almost doesn't. It's kind of, and you enjoy using RCI. Basically, I would recommend going to mymvp.club and getting My Resort Co-op. Simply, if you understand the interface and everything, there's a lot of deals to be found and made. So that's kind of like, it's not even a sales. It was structured to be aimed at people that are really familiar with RCI. Tokenization. So I'll put it slightly differently. Then what I see as coming next in the timeshare industry, and perhaps maybe it comes a bit of arrogant from a guy who owned whose family owned a Wyndham timeshare in like 15 years ago, and who was going to purchase a deeded timeshare 3 years ago. So I'm not too much of the insider, but what I see as a tech person is that if we digitize ownership, timeshare ownership, then through tokenization. Then we create an ecosystem for independent resorts to remain independent and yet have access to third-party services. If you digitize ownership, you solve almost every single problem. I mean, whenever you register anywhere with an independent timeshare, the number one thing you always have to do is you got to prove you're the owner. And that usually includes fees and costs. Red Week calls it verified listings. RCII, they have a upfront membership fee. And it's not because they want to charge you those costs, it's because they need to deliver a great experience for you. And in order to do that, they need to make sure that the only members they interact with are actual timeshare owners. So they got these complicated processes that are fairly kind of pen and paper to go and verify ownership. By simply digitizing timeshare ownership, you eliminate that problem altogether. It doesn't go from a certain cost to maybe 10% lower. No, it goes from a cost to zero. And it doesn't go from like maybe a week to 2 weeks in the worst case of verification. It goes from that to immediate. So that's kind of what we're working on. We're tokenizing the timeshare interests of the independent resorts. Now, the interesting thing about it is that it doesn't impact the resort's independence, nor the owner's kind of independence. We focus to make sure that the timeshare owners feel as they're the owners of this exact resort, and the resort remains independent and in control of its own destiny, however it wishes to do so, and Volk abides by that. Basically, the first resort, we just finalized all the details. It's Fort Lauderdale Beach Resort. In Fort Lauderdale. It's a fantastic resort, fantastic property. On Volca.com, we have several availability to go and purchase. We have about 120 or so weeks listed on there, all digitized, tokenized, and we're only going to build from there. There's a lot of exciting things coming from that. There's a lot of exciting services that Volca will be able to offer to digitized owners. There's other companies that will be able to build on top. Because once you create that layer of digitized ownership, it's an entire ecosystem. Now anyone can build on top and grow and offer services. That's
So
kind of
it just makes the transfer from one party to the other seamless.
Yeah, the transfer is seamless. Ownership verification is seamless. Like, for example, if I wanted to build a very simple concierge app, similar to what a VOA is doing, but basically even a simpler and easier and offer it for free. Well, the problem is there's a cost involved in verifying who the owner is. So I can't really do that. But if it's a digital timeshare, you have all the information available to you. So the developer can effectively build an app that is very personalized, that when a person says, logs in with their credentials and can request to be like a certain delivery, maybe some bottle of champagne or flowers or anything else to arrive at his unit when he checks it. All that information is immediately available to the app if the owner grants it, and no one has to make a call and verify anything. That's the beauty of digital ownership here.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And I also want to mention that you are number 3 following Brian Rogers of Tug and Jeremy of Destination Timeshare to participate in the second part of our show, Mike Kennedy from Koala, Jonathan. And we also have the last 20 minutes is our board president and Chad talking about self-advocacy. So I just want to bring that up here so that we can thank you, the Wizards of Oz behind Pod TV. I'm so pleased with how that turned out. It was great. Kimberly, do you think My Resort Co-op sounds like something you'd like? Oh, you're muted.
Yeah, I was trying to be quiet. I'm very intrigued. Yeah, I want to learn more. Maybe you can come back and we can walk through some steps because I find when people actually can visually see this, and I've pulled up your website. So, but yeah, let's have you come back, walk us through some steps, some scenarios. Maybe I'll sign up and we can walk through it. But I think that this is a solution, right?
Yeah.
For a lot of the people, like we said, not every problem is a scam. It's just not understanding how to maximize what you own. And that's what we're here for, is to provide you a library of resources of subject matter experts like Andrea to say, this is another way to utilize what you have. And, you know, the story that you share, Irene, is fabulous. I mean, I would love to get a vacation like that, you know,
Yeah.
and like you're talking about, I want a concierge. Everything I do, I want a concierge. I want to feel like my investment in travel is first class. Right?
With that, we're out of time. I think we have
That's
to
right.
go switch over to the library.
So meanwhile,
Thank you, Mark.
stand by and watch the Library of Resources and reach out to tarda.org. And we'll see you next week, Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
And as
Everyone,
they say in Hawaii, a hui ho, which means
a
until we meet
hui
again.
ho.
A hui ho.
And you know what?
It's
Stay
a
healthy so you stay wealthy. Thank you for watching Pod TV.
Okay.